You have found the right path to retirement. I am here with certified financial planner Jimmy Lynn, founder of Right Path Wealth Management in Henderson. And he is breaking down today's latest retirement worries and headlines for us. And he's got an offer for our radio listeners today. Those first 5 callers at 702-744-8344 can claim a spot on Jimmy's calendar for a complimentary retirement consultation. No commitment, no obligation. You've just got to dial to secure a spot. That number again, 702-744-8344 or online at rightpathwm.com. All right, Jimmy, it is back to school time. As crazy as it is, time flies. And an article I saw this week was listing some of the things that we learned in school that are now useless, including learning to play the recorder, memorizing the periodic table, as well as long division and long multiplication. So I was reading this list, Jimmy, thinking about it from a retirement perspective, and I wanted to ask you if there are any retirement rules that have become so outdated that they are almost useless, just like all that time I spent trying to learn hot cross buns on the recorder.
Yeah, Casey, that's funny because my kids right now, they just started high school again. They're sophomores in high school, and I'm somewhat of a hands-on parent, but I struggle with this because the things, like we're saying, the things that we had to learn growing up now are not applicable. So with the advent of AI, it's hard for me to really be stern with them and say, no, you got to learn this when, there's a chance they're never going to use it. So
what are the kids learning these days? I don't even know what they're learning.
There's like this weird math that they've been learning where it's not traditional math. I don't even know how to teach it, but you like hold numbers in your head, and I can't even
Sounds like a nightmare,
because I can't explain. Right. It's not fun. So I've kind of just hired a tutor.
There you go. Someone else's problem.
Right. And it really brings us back to the point that you got to be adaptable, right? And sometimes you have to hire a professional, which is what we did. But there are so many outdated concepts that a lot of retirees hold on to just because of the fact that, years ago, these could have been tried and true suggestions, but times have changed. So there's things like the 4% rule, right? You can live off of 4% of your investments and never run the risk of running out of money. Actually, the person that created that rule has since said, it really was not something that was intended to be used for everyone, and it probably doesn't work the way most think. But that's an example of an outdated rule that was based on different times, right? Inflation was different, decades ago versus what we see now. Decades ago, most people had pensions they can rely on. Nowadays, the responsibility of creating a solid retirement plan has shifted from the corporations to the individuals. Bonds used to be things that you could reliably get income from without any potential loss of the actual investment in the bonds. We saw recently in 2022 that bonds actually could fall just the same time as stocks can. So these are a lot of different things that years ago, probably we could rely on these different strategies, but you have to evolve with the times, especially when we see this 24-hour news cycle that we have, where any piece of news can create so much volatility in the market. It's really important to have kind of what we call a modern plan, right? Where you're looking at the current environment that we're in. So you're not looking at risk from just the rule of 100, where they say you take 100, you subtract your age, and whatever that number is, let's say you have 100 and you're age 60, subtract that and you have 40. Well, 40 is the amount you should have in stocks. And that used to be an example of an old way of thinking. But really nowadays, if you implement these type of strategies, whether it's the 4% rule or, the rule of 100, with the new environment that we have, if that is your plan going into retirement, you are running the risk of actually running out of money because the world has changed. Inflation has increased. There's more volatility in the market. So it's really important that people look at their situation from a modern perspective and look at the tools that are available and the situations that they're in instead of kind of relying on those old strategies.
Well, I'm over here thinking about more stuff that I learned in school that's outdated now, and it had me thinking of learning the planets and the order the planets are from the sun. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. Do you know that one, Jimmy?
I don't know that one, but you're talking about planets. What that brought up is there's no Pluto anymore.
Right. So it's pizza stood for Pluto at the end. And Pluto, they're telling us, isn't even a planet anymore. So it's funny how the rules that we learned growing up can really stick with us even when they're no longer applicable or they're no longer the best advice. So for somebody listening right now, Jimmy, who realizes maybe they've been following one of these outdated retirement rules, like the 4% rule, what's the first step that they should take? Is it time to just throw the whole plan away and start over? Or is there a calm, step-by-step approach that they can take to get back on track?
You got to start with where you're at, right? So figure out where you're at right now. Some people can have a fabulous plan, but have somebody review it to make sure that that is the case instead of you just saying, hey, I think I'm good, right? So some of the just basic level due diligence that I think people entering into retirement can do, or even if you just recently retired, is first check the risk level that you have. Right. Make sure that the investments that you have in the market match the stage in life that you're in, because you don't want to be, as you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s going into retirement, you don't want to be invested the same way you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Because the difference between those two is you no longer have time on your side. You don't have time to recover from a market crash. So make sure that you have the appropriate level of risk for your specific situation. And coupled with that is make sure that your risk includes an income plan. Like, where your income stream is going to be coming from, what accounts are going to be coming from, what tools you have in place to generate that income stream. Because the last thing you want to do is just have a plan where you have your Social Security and then you're just going to be picking away at your investments and hope that they're there when you need it 20, 30 years from now. And with all of that, you always want to factor in taxes. Taxes are much different than they were 20 or 30 years ago. So there's some different strategies you can implement to reduce your lifetime taxes. So I would really say, income planning, looking at your risk and looking at your taxes all can be a foundational part of kind of evaluating where you're at right now. That's what we do in our Right Path retirement assessment. So if anyone is in that space where they're unsure or they just want a second set of eyes, give us a call at 702-744-8344, and we can do that assessment for you. There's no charge for that, but it will put you in a better mindset and hopefully a better place.
Yes, you do not want to miss out on this opportunity. There's zero obligation. There's no commitment required. This is just your chance to bring your retirement questions and receive guidance tailored to your specific situation. But spots are going quickly, so pick up the phone now to secure yours on Jimmy's calendar. That number for you again, 702-744-8344. One more time, 702-744-8344. And if online works better for you, you can always head to rightpathwm.com. All right, now we have talked before about the best age to take Social Security, Jimmy. Should it be at 62 with the lower monthly paycheck or at 70 with the highest payment possible? It all comes down to how long you are going to live. The Social Security website offers a life expectancy calculator based on your sex and your birth date, but that calculation does not take into account your current health, your lifestyle, and your family history. So, Jimmy, I wanted to talk to you about this. What do you use to come up with a longevity number, and how does it factor into deciding when someone should claim their Social Security benefits?
Well, I always tell people, if they want to know exactly when they should file for Social Security, just tell me when you're going to die, and I can tell you the best time to file for that, right? But short of that, we have to basically just take the information that we have at hand. So when you factor in Social Security, it's not a cookie cutter approach where you either started at age 62 because you want that income right away, or you delay till age 70 because you want that highest amount of income. It's really looking at all factors before you figure that out. And you mentioned some of those, Casey. Mm-hmm. Your current health. If somebody is terminal or they are not in a good state, it oftentimes makes sense to turn that Social Security on early. If instead they're very healthy and their parents are both alive and they're in their late 80s or early 90s and longevity is just in their blood, then oftentimes the math comes out to be that they should delay and get that higher benefit amount. Because the difference, Casey, is that most people out there, their full retirement age is going to be probably 66 in a few months or age 67. But if you take that benefit amount at age 62, you're getting a 30% reduction on the amount that you've earned. But on the flip side, every year that you delay past age 67, you're going to get an 8% bump until you reach age 70, which is where you're capped. So there's a lot of benefits to delaying and getting that larger amount. But at the same time, if your health isn't great, it may make sense to take it early. But there's other factors you want to take into consideration, especially married couples, because there's something called the spousal benefit, or planning for the spouse, I should say, where if you have a married couple, oftentimes it could make sense for the higher earner to delay till age 70 to get that larger amount, and for the lower earner to maybe turn theirs on early so they can get some cash flow. But you want to make sure that you maximize the surviving spouse's benefit amount. So a lot of times we'll look at that, but taxes are another area where we want to incorporate, because delaying Social Security can also open up some tax planning opportunities. So what I'm trying to say is that it's complicated. It's not as cookie cutter as people may think. Definitely encourage people to have somebody look at that to make sure that the plan you have for Social Security filing matches your overall situation. You don't want to make that decision kind of in a silo.
Well, it's amazing how now we are living longer than ever, and a lot of people can really expect to enjoy a decades-long retirement, and that is great news, but it also means that those retirement plans need to go that extra mile. So, Jimmy, let's say you've crunched the numbers for someone and you discovered their projected longevity isn't 82, but it's closer to 95. How does that shift your conversation, and what practical changes are you making to their strategy to ensure that those extra years are covered?
Well, when we're looking at a situation like that, we want to focus on income. So Social Security is a piece of that, and optimizing your Social Security oftentimes means delaying till 70. Not always, but that's a good piece of the plan. But also creating other income streams, because with the instability of Social Security, we want to make sure that we've created other income streams for ourselves, whether it be an income annuity with kind of a self-funded pension, or it's investments in the market that can create an income stream for you. You want to make sure you have different pieces, because 95, I mean, God bless you, if you make it to 95, it's going to cost a lot of money. Now you start talking about long-term care. So you want to start thinking about, how do I create income streams from what I've saved that are going to get me through retirement and cover all my healthcare expenses as well.
Social Security is a critical retirement decision, and there are a lot of factors to consider. So incorporating the help of a professional to help you make the best, most informed decision for your personal situation is going to be the key here. So let Jimmy and his team be that guide for you. 702-744-8344 is the number to dial. And our first 5 callers will claim their spot for that introductory retirement planning consultation that Jimmy is offering. 702-744-8344 to get on the calendar. That number for you one last time, 702-744-8344, or you can always visit rightpathwm.com and you can get connected that way. That is going to do it for us this week. We will be back next week, same time, same place, with more great insight from certified financial planner Jimmy Lynn here on The Right Path to Retirement. Take care.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Right Path Wealth Management. Right Path Wealth Management is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Right Path Wealth Management are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Any reference to the protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Right Path Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Right Path Wealth Management.
Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations, wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships.